So, hello everybody. Hi. It's so exciting to be here with you. I see so many familiar faces already. Hi, Caro. Hi, Chrissy. So amazing. Hi, Melanie. I'm so excited that you're joining us live for another lunch talk where we talk about how you can create a life that feels as good as it looks. And today we have a very special guest with us. He is an actor with over 150 film and TV credits. You've seen him in The Dropout, Ray Donovan, Younger, and my favorite as Raphael in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I just recently watched again with my husband, and that was a lot of fun. He's also the founder of Committed Impulse, where he teaches Hollywood actors, entrepreneurs, and creatives how to step into your most authentic brilliance. He is also the author of this amazing book, which is already my really honestly favorite book of the year. And he quite literally changed my life in the last weeks, which we're all going to dive into. So, a very warm welcome, Josh Pais. I'm so glad that you're here.
I'm thrilled to be here. Good. Well, it's good morning for me. I guess it's good afternoon for you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's 8 a.m. In New York, and depending on where you are, somewhere around 2 p.m. probably. And we are going to talk today about the topic of feeling your feelings. So before we gonna dive into the conversation, I have a question for you because Josh and me, we would love to make this also an interactive session where you're going to leave with very practical tools and takeaways that you can implement for your own life. So, we're going to talk about how we can feel our feelings instead of just managing and suppressing them. So, I would love for you to open up the chat right now and write to us in the chat what is one emotion that you would love to get rid of? Like, what is an emotion that you prefer not to feel? And I like you to reflect on that for a second because after identifying this emotion, you can work with this through our conversation. You can use it as an example when we dive more into the practicality of it. Yes. Okay. I see the first answers coming in. Inga sharing fear, Caro, anger, Anna, grief, rage, loneliness, sadness, doubt, shame, worry. Is that an emotion? Good question. Yeah, I'd say so. Shame, rejection, fear, insecurity, self-doubt, uneasiness. Yes, uneasiness again. I think we all in the same kind of realm. Shame, yes, doubt. Amazing. Thank you for being so open and honest with us. And I love for you to think about that emotion while we're gonna dive into the conversation. And I can share from my side. So the feelings that I'm trying to avoid is the feeling of nervousness and anxiousness. And to give you a little bit of context, why I'm so excited for this conversation is that when I first discovered personal development, I thought that this is my answer. This is my salvation because I was feeling a lot of the times very nervous and very anxious. So I started to meditate. I started to journal. I started to do cold showers. Then I recited my goals as if they were already true. And I thought it's all working, but then I had a burnout and realized all of these things that I was doing was just another more fancy way to not feel what was going on inside of me. And Josh, I know from your book and from previous conversations that you not only grew up, but you were trained to handle specific emotions in a certain way. Like, and then there was a moment when something shifted within. So could you take
Mhm.
us back to that moment on where your
Sure.
previous training like kind of took a new turn?
Absolutely. So, as you said, I'm an actor, and my early actor training, it was instilled in us that if we were nervous, fearful, anxious, that we were not prepared, that we had not done our work properly, and that those are sensations that an actor should not feel.
Mhm.
It seemed to make sense, at the time. But when I got out of acting school and started auditioning, it was disastrous. It was one experience, one audition after another, so much fear, so much anxiety, all the things that I was taught, were the bad things. And it was really like the middle of the night, and I was like, I just don't know if I've chosen the wrong profession. And I reflected on something that happened when I was 6 years old and when I reflected on that, it really completely, completely changed my life. And so
Mhm.
I'll tell you what happened. Um, it was with my father, and I didn't understand what his job was. I knew what other kids, what their dads did for work, but my dad had this enormous floor to ceiling blackboard, and he would put these squiggles and lines and a few numbers and just spend hours doing these things that he called calculations, which I didn't understand at 6 years old. And so one day I confronted him and I was like, "What do you do? What is your job?" And he was getting ready to go to his office, and he kind of stopped and he looked at me and he said, "Well, Joshua," that's what he called me when it was serious. He
Mhm.
said, "Do you see that table next to you?" And I was like, "Yes." But what is your job? And then he said, "Do you see your knee?" And I was like, "Yes, I see my knee." And I thought he was avoiding the question. And then he said, "The smallest part of that table and the smallest part of your knee are the same things, atoms." And he said, "That's what I explore, the building blocks of the universe." And just a little background on my dad. He was a theoretical physicist, and he worked with Einstein for 11 years. He worked with Niels Bohr. He worked with Oppenheimer. So he was atom. His whole world was atoms. So going back to now, this was a memory that I had in the middle of the night, and I started to think and experiment with, well, if my body is made out of atoms, then emotions must somehow be connected because they're happening in this framework. And I started experimenting, feeling emotions instead of judging them as good or bad. I started
Mhm.
to feel like what am I actually feeling? And I started to discover that it was some kind of a energetic pattern. It was some kind of a frequency in my body. It was maybe a contraction, maybe a spinning, maybe a lifting, maybe an opening or a contracting. And that as soon as I started to experiment feeling the actual sensation, everything shifted for me because then it all could become creative fuel.
Mhm.
And it took the judgment out of it. It took like, oh, this is bad and this is good. And just really, none of it's good, none of it's bad. But living in a human body, we are perpetually vibrating. And at
Mhm.
some point in our history, we came up with the notion that this particular vibration has this name and is bad, or this particular vibration has this name and is good. And as soon as that all melted away, my acting career started taking off. I started working on Broadway and movies and television. And also, my life became more of an adventure as opposed to a struggle.
Mm, I love that. I love that story so much. And this is also what we see reflected in the chat, no? Like the emotions that people were sharing are all the emotions that we would like if we are categorizing them as we all kind of as a society have categorized them. They are all in the bad, unwanted emotion kind of category. And I
Absolutely.
I would love to zoom in here for a moment because I feel we are really so conditioned to not feel our unwanted emotions, or we have such great strategies developed, each of us to not feel these emotions. So
Yeah.
let's unpack that and stay with that for a moment because from my own life, I know just before I had my burnout after I gave birth to my son, if you had followed me just with a camera around, you would have thought that I'm doing really great, like I trained every day. I had a personal trainer. Like whenever my son was sleeping, I was running to the laptop doing work that I loved. So you would have not even witnessed me like struggling if you had just watched me. And I work also with very ambitious women who might experience burnout at one point, and they're like, I don't know what happened. I just had 2 years where I was crushing it, and all of a sudden my body is breaking down. So I
Yeah.
feel we are so good in avoiding that. So can you
Hmm.
take us to before this moment where everything changed? What would you do? How would you handle emotions that were like in this so-called negative kind of category, or how do you also others see doing that?
I mean, similar to you, I would meditate with the intention of getting rid of what I was feeling. I would exercise um, for several years. I would smoke weed, smoke pot to try to get rid of what I was feeling. I would yeah, intense physical training. I was just so much of my energy was trying to get rid of something that is actually built into our DNA. And we have
Mhm.
to recognize that every sensation we are built to feel, and to hold any of them as bad. It's like, I don't know if you can see the trees in the background, but it would be like me going through the forest and going, that's a bad tree, that's a good tree. It's the,
Mhm.
it's ridiculous. And it takes part of the burnout that happens for people is if they've decided that, say, fear is bad. And from my point of view, fear is great. It's
Mhm.
just a frequency. But if you hold any frequency in your body as bad, you're going to use a lot of energy to not feel it. And you're going to compress that sensation. You're going to do everything you can not to feel it. But then it gets locked in your body, and then areas get tight, and then even painful. And it's such a waste of energy because we are going to feel sensation. And what I teach in the book and in my classes is that instead of trying to get rid of stuff, we need to increase our tolerance for living in a human body. And a
Mhm.
human body is in a constant state of vibration. It's just, this is what, in a sense, a lot of the book is, how to live in a human body. And we have to let go of this paradigm. And I believe it's the second chapter in the book, is called The Greatest Myth of Our Time.
Mhm.
And the greatest myth of our time is this notion that there are good emotions and bad emotions. It's
Yes.
just our it's all built into our human design. And when we can increase our tolerance for it, then we become, which is the subtitle of the book, we can become creatively invincible. We can
Yes.
use everything. It's all there to help us.
I love that. And I love to dig deeper because I can hear now people are like, yeah, okay, that sounds good.
Right.
I would love to do that. I would love to
Uh-huh.
see fear and shame and, insecurity, everything that I've shared in the chat. I would love to not see that as something that is intimidating that I don't want to feel. So,
Mhm.
can you take us to an example? Like, maybe it's the nervousness that you were feeling on stage and you were learning so much how to suppress it
Yeah.
previously. Like, how, like, in your own experience, do you go from, okay, you suppress something the whole time and it is in this bucket, which is bad and it's scary and it's hairy already and I don't even want to look at it. And now this guy is telling me, oh, you should actually use it. So, how can I go there and how did nervousness serve you in a positive way? Can you take
Hmm.
us there?
Sure. I mean, why don't I talk directly to you guys and whatever sensation um, that you don't like to feel. Well, let me start this way. See if there is in your body right now any sensation that you don't like to feel, or just really any sensation that is current. And so see if you can take a breath and just see if there's anything that you're managing, see if there's anything that you're altering, see if there's anything that you're trying to enhance. And just see what the predominant sensation is in your body right now. Because in every moment, there's a predominant emotion. So see if you can identify where in your body you feel, let's go with emotion, where in your body right now do you feel an emotion? And just take a
Mhm.
breath and really identify what's the loudest vibration in your body, what's the loudest emotion in your body, and breathe to feel it more, not manage it, not decrease it. And see if you can feel the energetic pattern of it. What is the vibrational frequency of that emotion? Not if it's good, not if it's bad, not if I like it, not if I don't like it, but what is it actually?
Mm.
And just breathe and feel that vibrational frequency. Like for me, right, I'm feeling right in the center of my chest, like it's kind of bubbly. It's
Mhm.
kind of like a bubbly um, sensation. So
Yes.
just breathe and see if you can welcome it. Like welcome it to the party. I used to use the example a lot. Like if you were at a party and somebody like an ex-lover um, that you didn't want to see and you know they were going to come to the party, it'd be like, oh no. But see if you can just welcome that sensation. In a
Mhm.
sense, let yourself be intimate with the vibrational frequency in your body because it's there. It's not going to stop, and maybe in 100 years from now, we'll all be floating around in space and we'll be like, oh, anxiety, that was so cool. That was really cool. I wish I could feel that again. Anybody want to say what they're either, however you want to do this, Christine, either in
Yes.
the speak out loud or in the message,
In in the
like what are
chat.
you actually feeling?
Yes. Yeah, if you like, you can share it in the chat with us. Take a moment and
Like maybe what's the emotion and what is the actual patterning of it? I'd love
yes,
to see that.
that's great. Yeah, it always takes a moment
Okay.
to arrive. And
And then I'm going to also say this. If it was an emotion that you typically hold as bad, is it really that bad?
Mm.
When you just feel the frequency of it, it's just movement. It's just a movement. And it's really
Yes.
not good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Carol's sharing excitement in my chest. It's sparkling.
Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. Klaus also feeling excitement and yeah, tune into that and see
And
how it's actually showing
what
up.
is the frequency of excitement? Like where is it in your body? And can you breathe to feel it even more?
Mm.
Slightly stressed and feel tension in my back and jaw. And so where often where there is tension, it's an area that has emotion that hasn't been felt in a long time. So if you notice an area in your body that's contracted, that's great. Fear in my chest. And I would say, what is the movement of the fear? Like, what is the actual patterning of the fear? But what I was starting to say was if there's an area that's contracted, that's maybe gets often perpetually locked in, very often that's an area that has emotion that you haven't let yourself feel. And by
Hmm.
simply feeling it, the body is going to open, the blood flow is going to increase, and you're going to have more energy. Yes, as soon as you start experimenting with that, it's going to be, it might be like, whoa, that's a lot, but you can handle it. It's just you.
I love that what you are saying also. We need to increase the tolerance for ourselves. We need,
Yeah.
that was really like when I read that, we need to increase the tolerance just to feel ourselves, just to be with ourselves. And then I
Yes.
was like, damn, yeah, I'm so scared of my own self, just to feel
Yes.
the myself in the totality of my emotional range, which is
Yes.
wild when you think about, how
Yes.
scared we are. And I think maybe an example of how I used this, what you just doing with us is when I invited you actually to join us for this talk. So after we came back from London, I already had the idea, okay, I want Josh to come to this conversation. I would love to chat with him. And then instantly my mind started to say, yeah, but why would he say yes? You are way too small. He's in shows that have a bit much bigger audience. So, the typical mind chatter started, and I
Yeah.
already knew that okay, this is bullshit. The worst thing that can happen is that he either ignores me or he says no.
Hmm.
So, but then the next thing happened, and that was my old school of kind of personal development thinking. I was like, okay, I'm gonna write him tomorrow. After I did my exercise, after I journaled, after I had my green
Right.
smoothie, after I am my best self, so that I don't feel nervous. And then I was like, oh my God, this is exactly the opposite of what he's teaching. So I
Yeah.
cannot do that. So I
Yeah.
was sitting on the sofa and I was doing it also. I was nervous and I felt there was like this, I have it like, it looks a little bit, it feels like a snake-like movement in my chest. It's a yellow
Uh-huh.
kind of light snake.
Yeah.
And I was tuning into this emotion and was just sitting in with it. And I was like, oh, there's also some excitement in this. And
Uh-huh.
there's also some giddiness, like what if he says
Yes.
yes? This would be so cool. And then I wrote my message on Instagram, from this emotion.
Mm.
And this is something that I love about what you are teaching specifically is that not only to let the emotion go through us or, through our body, but to actually use it in the situation. And I mean, we
Yeah.
can see the result. You said yes. So somehow the message resonated and worked. So like tell us a little bit about maybe like what are some of the results that you are seeing in people and in yourself when you actually using this method.
Yeah. I mean, this is all ultimately, well, it's about well-being, but it's ultimately about creativity. And this, like, creativity is the ultimate expression of your life force and what you have to offer the world. And um, if we're constantly managing what we're feeling, we are diminishing our access to what we want to do. And so I've just seen people get healthier. I've seen people go for things in their life that, like what you just said, to take that next step. And here's the thing. When anybody, and I've worked with very famous people, but with every single person, when you step further out into the world, whether it's inviting somebody to a podcast, going on a date, taking a next step in your career, for every single person, there's going to be an increase in body sensation. Maybe there's going to be an increase in fear. But we have to know that that is natural and that if you feel what is fear, like often if I feel fear, it's like a energy up here. And I can either like in the book, I'm always saying you want to ride it, not hide it. And so if you use that energy is there to propel you forward because all it is energy. Emotions are energy. So you can either use that charge and be like, yeah, it might be intense right now, and the more I extend out into the world, there's going to be an increase in vibration. But if you look at it as your body is giving you fuel, as
Mm.
opposed to, oh, this is bad, I have to manage it. And one other piece that we haven't touched on yet is that anytime, this is key, you suppress the energy, the emotion, the sensation in your body, you are signaling to your nervous system, I don't want to feel you. And you might be able to be successful in decreasing that sensation. But the downside of that is as soon as you disconnect from your body, your attention goes into your mind, and the name of the
Mm.
book is Lose Your Mind: The Path to Creative Invincibility. So as soon as you suppress your body, your mind gets active, and it gets active with the worst commentary. It's like, I'm not good. I'll never make it. Everybody else is getting ahead. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm too skinny. I'm too fat. I'll never make it. All that crap fires up. So we can either, these are the choices, feel the vibrational frequency, which is completely natural. It's how you are designed. You can either feel the vibrational frequency or listen to how terrible you are. You
So
know?
what's better? What's the choice here? Yes.
Well, for me, because I don't like listening to how terrible I am, I
Mhm.
just like to stay active and party with what I'm feeling.
Yes.
And we have to know that every single person, when they're in their mind, has the worst thoughts.
Mm.
You don't have worse thoughts than anybody else. I've been teaching this for over 30 years. Every single person thinks their thoughts are the worst. They think they are the most troubled. They have the biggest problems. No.
No, we are all in it together, no? Like
Yeah.
even right now when we were sharing in the chat, like what's the emotion we want to get rid of? Shame, insecurity, like people that I know that I see active on social media, all the
Right.
people have the same thoughts and
Yes.
we all feel the same. So you're telling me, Josh, right now, even you, when you step out of your comfort zone now, if you're not tuning into your body, you still have these thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. But now, because I've been doing this work and I teach this in the book, now I can catch when I'm in my mind listening to some terrible scenario. That's an indication that I've left my body. So there's a period of time when you're in your mind and you don't even know you're in your mind. You've completely left. You're in the past or the future, or what am I going to do later, or I don't like this, or I really like this. And so as soon as you're aware that you're up here, it's an indication that you've left your body. And
Mhm.
very often, when we feel something that we haven't welcomed to the party yet, and we feel it, we're going to suppress it and then go up here and listen to just the worst stuff. If you had a friend, quote unquote friend, and you would go and have a coffee with them, and they were like, you know, you're really not that good. You're not really doing your life right, and just you're really screwing up. Like you would not keep having coffee with them.
Mhm. Totally.
And it's the same thing. We don't need to spend time up here.
Mhm. I love the moment that you were sharing in the book where you were prepping for a scene and then the director came on and he was telling you that this is the most important scene of the entire play. No? Can you take
Yes.
us to to the moment when you actually like what happened in that moment and how you used the emotions that were coming up to enhance your work?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I was doing a TV show and we were, as is customary, you come to set and then there's a little rehearsal for the camera people, the costume people, the lighting people, just so that how they can see how they can technically film this the next scene. And I was sitting at a desk and the executive producer, like the top guy in the of the whole production, he comes up to me and he said, Josh, this is the most important scene of this whole season. And this is a scene that is so important to me. And it's the key element of my character's journey and of this section of the season of the show. And it just, I felt panicky. I felt like, oh no, like what, I had so much panic and I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna, I'm gonna screw this up, blah, 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 blah. So I stumbled through the scene and then then I could go back to my dressing room. And in my dressing room, I was like, oh my God, I was completely in my head. It was horrible. But then I remembered, what I teach.
Mhm.
And I thought about like this scene that we were about to shoot. And in the scene, I'm a very powerful music producer, and I'm dealing with one of my clients who's a rap artist. And we have a lot of, he's always getting out of control. And in the scene, I have to maintain control. Um, and but I don't like this guy. And so I made the shift. I woke up and I was like, actually, what I'm feeling, like all this turmoil,
Mhm.
I was like, that is perfect for this scene because and I'm and then my character is trying to be calm, trying to be focused while this guy is flipping out. And so I went in back, when we went back to the sound stage where we're filming, and I let myself feel all that energy in my body and out of control, but I let myself be still.
Mhm.
So on the inside, it was crazy, but I used it in the scene. And the interesting thing for actors, and this applies for non-actors as well, is whatever sensation is there is always the perfect sensation for what you need to do. Now, that
Mm.
takes an enormous leap of faith. You might be like, that's impossible. But that's your truth.
Hmm.
And it doesn't, if you feel a lot of chaos, it doesn't mean you have to yell at people, but you want to feel that charge and connect to people.
Yes, I love that. That's so practical, like to know exactly what to do and how we can use that emotion that we are feeling, not to judge
Yes.
it, but to actually use it in a positive, like way that actually serves us. So even the feelings of nervousness or feeling panicky or whatever, that they're there they have a function and we can use them to take our creative work to the next level. And what I also love about your book is that it's also very, very funny, like you're a very funny guy, and I can hear your voice every time I'm reading it. You're very persistent also in making me do the actual exercises. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Throughout the book, there's very simple exercises that we're talking about this, but ultimately it's not about understanding this work, but it's about integrating it into
Hmm.
your life to whatever extent you choose. But there's exercises at the end of each chapter, very simple, that will start to make this a reality of a place to live from.
Yes, yes. And one like method or tool that you are sharing are the four access points back to
Mm,
presence. And I think this
yeah.
is perfect when we imagine you, for example, standing in your room feeling panicky, and then remembering who you are. Like what are you doing and what do you teach people to do when they feel this sensation that they usually want to suppress is popping up? How
Hmm.
can we shift back into our body?
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we go through the four access points?
Hmm.
Um, and this is all covered in the book, but let's go through it a little bit. And these four access points, when you play with them, will 100% pull you into the present moment. These are the keys to being present. It's very simple. So the first one is a connection, and that's kind of what we've been mostly talking about so far, is a connection to your body. So notice right now, I'll just notice the skin on your face. Just feel that. Notice the skin on the top of your head. Notice going down your whole back body from your shoulders down to your heels. Just feel that. And just notice from your forehead all the way down the front of your body to your feet. Notice any parts of your body that feel contracted, any areas of tightness. And notice any parts of your body that feel expansive and open. Notice the difference between the right side of your body and the left side of your body. Notice what emotion is current right now. Notice what kind of energy is moving throughout your body. So that's the first one. You don't have to go through it that way, but I just wanted to guide you into feeling your body and want to stay with that. And then the next access point, and what we're doing is we're training ourselves to not be dominated by our mean mind. The next is take a couple breaths to feel. So often we use breath as a way to disconnect.
Mm.
Breathe to feel. Breathe to feel your body more. So just take a couple breaths And it's almost to enhance your experience of your body, not whether you like it or don't like it. Just breathe to feel more. And notice with each breath, there's a different sensation. With each inhale and each exhale, there's a different sensation because the body is constantly generating one sensation after the other. The next is if your eyes are closed, slowly open them and see what is in front of you, not just on the screen here, but like in your room. And I want you to experiment seeing maybe how a baby or a dog would see. By that, I mean literally seeing the color, the shape, the texture, the lightness, and the darkness of whatever you're looking at. There's a window in front of me. My mind wants to go window, and then there's no experience. But I'm looking at the detail of the frame, the detail of the lock on the window, just to see it as it is. So just see it as if you're seeing for the first time, not being smart, but being experiential. And just
Mm.
see it as it actually is, not your idea, not your knowing of it. Let's take a breath, feel your body, breathe, and see. And now the next, so the first is, and there's no order, but body, breath, immediate environment. And then as you're playing with those three, your mind is still going to be tricky and throw in some judgment, throw in some I don't like, what am I doing later? Is this good? Is this bad? As soon as you're aware that your mind has activated, you'll notice that you've left your body, you've left your immediate environment. But as soon as you're aware that your mind has become the dominant source of your attention, say out loud, I'm back. So, everybody, I know you're muted, but just say, I'm back. Say, I'm back. Everybody, I can see if your
I'm
mouths are
back.
moving.
Yes.
Okay. Stephanie? Okay, good. All right. Caroline? All right. Okay, good. So we have to catch when our mind dominates us and then come back to the body, come back to the immediate environment and increase our breath to feel more. These four access points open the creative channel.
Mhm.
If you reflect on whenever you've done, and we're all creative regardless of your profession. If you've noticed whether you were writing, a post or pitching something or whatever that creative act might have been in the past that really worked, if you can look back at it, you will notice that you weren't in your head, you were connected to your body, and you were connected to your audience or your immediate environment. And so
Mhm.
we just need to instill these four access points, which are very natural to us, so that we're not dominated by our mind, which is always going to tell us something limiting.
Mm. I love that. I love that it's so simple, we can all use it immediately
Yes.
wherever we are, we don't need to go to a fancy meditation retreat. We don't need to do anything but just basically really reconnect to our body, to our immediate environment, to our breath, as all the things that we constantly have with us. And
Yes.
I love because, like I have sometimes this notion of some critical voices that might come up. So I would love to debunk a myth with you because
Okay.
I'm hearing myself from 2 years ago when I had a conversation with my therapist, and she was like, "Yeah, Chrissy, you need to feel your emotions more often. You need
Mm.
to like tune into them." And I was like, "Did you see my to-do list? I don't have time to feel my emotions.
Right.
Like if I would feel my emotions all of the time, I would just be sitting on bed, like feeling sad, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, not doing anything.
Right. Right.
And I've been hearing that, like, sorry, but yeah, I don't have time for this. So can you dive into this myth a little bit that it takes so much time to feel any emotion? Like, what's really true about the emotional sensations in our body?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is not necessarily something that I do, every morning. It's something that throughout my day, as soon as I catch that my mind is throwing crap around, I say I'm back. I just take a breath, feel my body, and then I'm back in the game and I get a
Mhm.
burst of energy because the reason I'm in my mind is because I'm suppressing a natural energy in my body.
Mhm.
And that's what's draining. And we also have this notion that if I feel sadness, that I'm going to be in bed, like you said, for 3 days.
Yes.
Um, but it's like sadness is beautiful. Sadness is often just a slowing down. Sadness
Mhm.
is almost like a poetry. It's like if you allow yourself to even feel sadness, it's almost like time slows down and you can almost see in more detail.
Mhm.
If you don't fight it, it's a very beautiful experience if you welcome sadness.
Yes.
And I just want to touch on just the 7 to 12 second rule, which is also in the book, which is that any sensation that you fully let yourself feel is going to shift in 7 to 12 seconds. But you have to fully let yourself feel it, and then it's going to move on to the next sensation and the next sensation.
Mhm.
However, if you are managing what you are feeling, if you're like, I have to not feel that, it's almost like you're trapping a squirrel in a cage in your body. It's like, I'm fine. I'm doing great. But you're using all this energy, to hide something. And here's the thing which may not, um, whoever said, Sandra, thank you 1,000 times. You're welcome 1,000 times.
Yes.
Um, well, Christine, you take us where are we going next?
Yes, totally. Yeah. So I just want to go emphasize this like, squirrel thing that we have in our body, that all of us have. And so when you first step into this work, it might take, maybe a little longer than 7 to 12
Yeah.
seconds to experience an emotion fully. Like I remember when I
Hmm.
started to really sit and meditate and feel my emotions, like for the what felt like really genuinely like for the first time, all these unwanted emotions, they came up, and it took a while to like vibrate through them. But
Yes.
now, since I'm testing also this approach that you've been sharing, I can just honestly say I have so much excessive energy left in the day where
Yes. Yes.
previously I was really like exhausted in the
Yeah.
evening. And
Yep.
now I'm just like, I just realized all the times, all the little moments in the day when I was feeling nervous. Oh, I have to pitch somebody my new program. Okay, I have to prep myself. This takes time. I have to record a voice message 10 times before I feel I can send it, and all of these
Yes.
moments in my life, they just vanished because I'm like, oh, I'm cooking spinach right now. I can record a voice mail right now. I don't need to
Yeah.
pretend. So
Yes.
Yeah, just the emphasis
Let me
of
just touch
yeah,
on that just a little bit, just in terms of the 7 to 12 second rule, just bouncing off what you're
yeah,
saying, is that if there's a sensation that you've been, everybody say I'm back,
I'm back.
come back. If there's a sensation that you've been habitually suppressing, like I used to habitually suppress sadness, like, no, not sadness, not sadness, not sadness. Then, when you begin this work and you start to feel and play with the beauty of sadness, it's going to last a little longer because, in a sense, you're doing a cleanse. You're
Mhm.
cleansing out and a pocket in your body that you've jammed sadness into for years. But the more you allow yourself to stay connected, as Christine was saying, like then you get into this amazing, shifting, flowing place where everything is shifting and it's all, you're so present and you have so much more energy because you're not putting all your attention on jamming down something that's natural,
Mhm.
that's in your design. You're not trying to, you're not denying your design, your human design. And when
Mhm.
you stop doing that, it's like, wow. And life becomes so fun.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Then that leads to the next one, and then we're gonna dive in some of the questions that you are having, because what I hear often, I work also with these driven, ambitious women that have like goals and they want to reach like big things, and
Yes.
part of their identity, and that also used to be true for me, is like, I need to push myself to really like reach these goals. And I basically need to be unsatisfied in the present moment. So I have enough because it needs to be always bigger, always more,
Yeah.
there needs to be
Yeah.
always like this hunger. And if I would allow myself to be too happy right now, or I hear it, I just had a conversation with my best friend and she was like, but if it's that easy to work, then like so I cannot even trust this, that things can flow so naturally. So
Yeah.
it seems also to be so counterintuitive to be tuned into our natural kind of being, because we hear you have to grind, you have to push yourself. So
Yes.
how do you connect feeling like kind of contempt and like happy and present in the moment with having ambitious goals?
I mean, I've also, worked with so many people that have burned themselves out severely because they think they need to be at a certain energetic pitch or they need to present this version of themselves that's centered, mighty, whatever whatever it is. But in this era that we are in, people want truth.
Mm.
They don't want your 3.0 version of yourself. It's exhausting to watch.
Mhm.
Maybe 15 years ago, that was like, oh wow, that was the thing that led to success. In this era, people were constantly scanning for truth. Just the
Mhm.
human is just constantly scanning for truth. And if there's a presentation that's over the top, it's like it gets hard to watch. It's
Mhm.
not truthful. And it takes a leap of faith that I'm all inviting you to take to work and present and whatever it is that you do for your work and in your personal life as well, to speak from the charge that's actually there.
Mhm.
And when you do that, people can't help but listen. And if you are denying a part of yourself, I don't want to feel that, I don't want to show that, then it makes it very hard for people to connect to you while you
Yeah.
are disconnecting from you.
Oh, yes.
And it takes
Yes.
an act of bravery to be like, yeah, this is me. I'm a human. You know, I'm not, I'm not a robot.
Yes.
And it's so refreshing. And so many people's careers I've worked with, you know, uh, what comes to mind is a story in the book about a woman who is a very big lawyer. And she decided early on in her career, I'm going to hide anything feminine, anything
Hmm.
soft, and I'm just going to be a powerhouse. And that worked for her for a while, but then she experienced incredible burnout. And I told her, like, if you feel vulnerable, speak from there, even while you're doing talking to the jury or so on. And what she discovered was one, she had so much more energy, and two, she noticed that when she was doing her closing argument, that the jury was listening, where they
Mm.
used to just be tuning out.
Yes.
Because if something genuine is happening, you can't help but engage with it.
Yes, I love that so much. And that leaves us with so much energy left, and so much connection. I think we can all just think about a moment where you feel really connected to somebody. It's
Yeah.
usually when they share, their humanness with
Yes.
you, not their like polished version. Yeah, I'm crushing it. Everything is working like amazingly. But it's
Right.
when they let you in, and when you connect on this human level with them. So this is
Yes.
really, really beautiful. And I would like to address Sandra's question that stands out here. And she's asking, like, now that you're sharing these amazing ideas, what are you doing with thoughts of regret that you have only discovered them after 60 years of your life and not earlier on? So,
So regret, shame, what other guilt, that's all the mind.
mhm,
So if you're caught up in regret, it only means that you've left your body and your mind is dominating you. There's no value in hanging out with regret. So as soon as you hear, "Oh, I really should have, why didn't I? I really messed up." Say, "I'm back."
mhm.
That's when you say, "I'm back." Get out of that paradigm. It's always going to be abusive.
Yes,
It's always
that's
going to
true.
tell you the worst thing, which is not true.
Mhm.
It's just a protective mechanism to try to keep you small so that you don't step out into the world. So
Mm.
as soon as you hear regret, shame, guilt, say, "I'm back," come back in your body, and it just opens up the magic of you.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, there's no value in listening to that tune whatsoever.
No,
So,
but your
yeah.
mind is going to make it seem like it's really
Yes.
valuable. Like it's,
Yeah.
oh, I should really get into some regret right now and
Yeah.
listen to how terrible I am. That seems like a really, yeah, that's really
Productive
good.
way of
That's a
my
really
time.
good use of my time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yes, which actually then stops you from doing all the cool things with the time that you have,
Oh,
to do now.
exactly.
So,
Yes, yes.
mhm. Okay, Klaus is asking, how do I know if emotions are genuine and real and trustworthy and if I can rely on them?
If you feel them, they're real. And it's not even that you need to rely on them. It's just that you want to stay in here and stay out here. And that's going to that's going to be it's going to open the most perfect communication, creativity that's in you.
Mhm.
And emotions, they're not to be relied on or not relied on. We just need to recognize that there's a constant frequency happening
Mhm.
and that it's not bad. We just need to welcome it to the party. And it's not that your emotions are important or even valuable. This is just what's happening. So you want to allow that. And it's not that you need to express or tell people what you're feeling, but just welcome this charge as you stay connected to what's in front of you. And
Ah,
sometimes, if you're giving a talk, let's say, like stay connected to your audience, whether it's virtually or live, so that you're out here. Typically,
mhm.
what happens if we feel nervousness, we contract and go everything in here, and then we're in our mind. So if you're nervous, like, yeah, I feel that, and stay out. And then
Yes,
it's like magic happens.
I
I
love that.
know what I'm saying is a leap of faith, but trust me.
Yes, it's worth it completely. I can tell it also just from doing this 6 weeks that it's really, yeah, magical, what has been happening and what I've been experiencing. And I love the notion that you're saying like the emotions are not even that important or that valuable
No,
because it takes out because this is also what our mind wants to tell us again, no? Like, oh, this thing that you're feeling, the guilt, the shame, you should really like dig into this and
right.
explore it, but no, it's not. It's just like a momentary notion that flows through my body, and then, oh, there's another thing happening inside my body, so it's just
Yeah.
like a flux rather
Yeah.
than we don't need to attach whatever story we have already prepared to a certain emotion, no?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Absolutely.
I love that. Okay, one last question and then we are hitting our time. um so you've been working, in one of the most like competitive industries in the world, and you found also your very own and unique way in there. So I would love to know, what did success look like, or a successful life for the Josh with 20 years, and what does success and living a successful life mean for you today?
I mean, honestly, it's doing this work of
Mhm.
just, as an actor, and a teacher, it's like, how can I be as honest and open to my spontaneity? Because this work also opens up spontaneity, which is just a delicious thing to play with. And how can I create? How can I teach so that I'm not in here and that I can offer and experiment with offering something that is far richer than what my mind can offer? And when I
Mhm.
do that, and when anyone does that, because this is so limiting, but when we can practice this connection here, like life is pretty fantastic. And so,
Mm.
as long as it's really everything in the book is kind of what my whole life has been about, of that journey into being present more than being in my head.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for this conversation, Josh. It
Yeah.
was an absolute pleasure. I could keep talking really for hours, and time flew by. Also, thank you for everybody who was tuning in. I can really wholeheartedly recommend that you get this book, that you gift it to as many people as you can, because like it literally like really transformed my life already. And then, of course, you don't not only read it, but you also apply the methods that Josh is sharing in there, which is then how the transformation is going to happen.
Yeah.
And Josh, what's the best way for people to stay in touch with you? Is it your Instagram? Is it your newsletter on Committed Impulse? What's the best way?
Yeah, I would say Instagram,
Hmm.
at Josh Pais, JoshPais. And if you want information about my classes or coaching that I do, you can go to committedimpulse.com and just get on the list. And I don't send a lot out, but
Hmm.
I'll send out, what's coming up, what classes are coming up, or you can just look on committedimpulse.com for coaching or classes or other bits of information about what we've been talking about. But really,
Beautiful.
it's all in the book, and it's also I do the Audible, so you can listen to me
Hmm.
read it, and yeah, and
Which is
just
hilarious.
thank you. Yeah. And yeah, I just wish the best for you all. And that's let me know if you get the book and read it. Let me just, if you have any questions, just hit me up on Instagram.
Perfect. That's brilliant. I will send all of the links to you in the recording that I will send out to you tomorrow. And then I
Right.
also encourage you and appreciate if you share this talk with as many people as possible if you got some value out of it so we can spread the word here. And Josh, if you have 5 more minutes, I would love for you to stay on because I have a question about one of your classes. And for the
Okay.
rest, I wish you a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much for tuning in and talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.